breaths in through the nose, out through the nose or the mouth. We'll let them work it out on their own. So as you breathe, because we're going to focus on trying to release tension in the body, let's do what we often do. This first round of breathing is solely about relaxing and letting everything go. You can lay any way that's comfortable for you. You may see cats tear through here. They're on a hyper phase at the moment. So whenever you feel ready, and if you're not ready yet, that's okay. We're going to start to take that breath into the core. We do it every time, but today we're going to stay here a little bit longer, and I really want you to focus on that idea of pulling in when you exhale and really getting that contraction to happen all the way from the chest down to the pelvis. We talk about it every class. But even I've been doing it for over 20 years, and sometimes I forget to engage my low abdominals. And what a lot of you have been talking to me about is low back and hip tightness, maybe a little bit of discomfort, maybe even a little bit of pain. So the more you can learn to engage the lower core, that's going to protect your back, especially when we're doing hinging exercises and core work. So let's just practice that maybe about 45 more seconds. So your inhale, you know, you're expanding. And on that exhale, really get down low. It will take time to remember to engage when you're actually doing exercise. But right now, just think about when I engage my low core, I'm going to protect my back and my hips. A couple more of those deep breaths, really getting into that low core. And then before we move on, we're just going to look at one more aspect of this breath. So sometimes in classes, you'll hear the word brace your core or squeeze or tighten. And I don't want you to think about bearing down and bracing, because just do it for a second, kind of push down into your low core and feel how it actually pops your muscles out a little bit. Instead, we want those muscles to be fluid and draw in. So we're just going to practice 5 more breaths. And I just want you to make sure you're not pushing and bracing, but instead you're actually drawing in. So you have that fluid movement in those core muscles. Maybe 2 more of those deep breaths. And then if you're all extended out, go ahead and bend the knees, place the feet flat. We're going to set that deep breath on the back burner for just a moment. Open the arms and just let yourself rock gently side to side. So if you notice a lot of tension in the morning when you get up, this is actually something really good to do before you even get out of bed. Just to kind of rock it around, letting the low back release. And you can breathe kind of intuitively. Once you get the rock happening, see if you can let that fluid inhale, exhale occur and draw the core in every time you exhale. We're just going to go a couple more times each way. One more time, each direction. And then legs come back to center. Make sure those feet are about hip or sitting bone distance apart. And this is another one you can do before you get up. It's just our little cat-cow. So inhale, drop your tailbone, lift your ribs, little arch. Exhale, scoop and hollow, low back presses into the floor. Inhale, little arch. Exhale, scoop and hollow. So keep that pattern going. There is one of our hip flexor muscles that starts in your back, kind of mid to low, wraps around, comes to the front of the pelvis. And that muscle can get really tight, especially with a lot of the exercises that we've been doing. So by arcing and scooping, you're actually releasing all the different parts of that muscle. So just go one more time through each position. It's a very common one if you feel low back or front hip tightness. And then find that neutral. Bring your arms back in if you have them out in that T, and let's do a nice full bridge. Let's start in that neutral spine. Inhale, and on the exhale, go through your C curve, roll it up. Inhale at the top of your bridge, and then a nice big exhale to roll it down. Find that neutral at the bottom. Inhale. Exhale through that scoop and hollow. Inhale at the top. And then exhale, bring it down. We're going to do 4 more. So again, just kind of loosening up all those muscles that can get tight along your spine. If you want to, at the top of the bridge, you can press past the neutral a little bit so that you get a nice stretch across the front, especially that low core to pelvis. I think we have 3 more. Maybe exaggerate that C curve a little bit for those last few. Press those hips up nice and high at the top. 2 more. Remember that concept of aiming your tailbone up toward your knees when you're in that bridge. We've talked about this a lot in Pilates and bar, that if you drop your tailbone to the floor, that can put a lot of strain on your low back. So pressing it toward your knees instead. Let's do 1 more bridge. I lost count. And then let's roll it down. Let's find that neutral. So make sure that your low ribs and your pelvis are in that anchored position. And take those legs up to tabletop. We're just going to do that tiny little C-curve scoop, focusing on the low abdominals. So inhale, you're in your neutral. And on the exhale, I want you to feel kind of almost like you're pulling your pubic bone towards your rib cage. Inhale, lengthen back out. And then exhale, scoop and hollow it in. Inhale, back to that neutral. Exhale, scoop and hollow. Keep that movement going and really try to focus on that muscle that runs through the center of your core. You're pulling it in and lengthening it back out. If this is causing you to grip in your hip flexors at all, bring your feet to the floor and really focus on that C-curve scoop and that release to neutral. We're going to do about 3 more. We have 1 more to go. And then come down with your feet. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your right leg and you're going to cross it over your left leg. It's going to feel a little weird. Take your arms out wide just so you have a base of support. And twist your lower half just a little bit to the side. This isn't a stretch. Just a little bit so your shoulder on that right side is still pressing into the floor, but your right hip has kind of come off the mat a little bit. We're going to inhale in the lengthened position, and then I want you to exhale and try to pull that right hip bone up toward the rib cage. Inhale, lengthen back out. Exhale, it's like you're scooping and hollowing, but you're doing it on your right side. Inhale, lengthen. If you're tight on your left side, you might also get a stretch in the back of your hip. We're going to do 1 more like this. If this one's really weird and you have questions about it after class, please let me know. So now you're gonna uncross, you're gonna come back to center. If you want to, we're gonna do the same side. Legs are gonna come up to tabletop, and then you're gonna cross that right leg over the left and rotate the lower body slightly to that left side, right shoulder blade still pressing down, and we exhale, scoop, inhale, release. It's really small. Exhale, scoop, like you're pulling that right hip bone toward the rib cage. If this bothers your back at all, feet go back to the floor. Still highly effective. Just 2 more. And it may take some practice to feel it. Today may be day 1 and we do the best we can. Let's bring the feet to the floor, uncross, come back to that center point. Now take your left leg, cross it over your right. Left shoulder blade pushes into the floor, but we let that left hip lift off as we rotate slightly to the right. And then that little C curve crunch, pull the hip bone up and release back out. Exhale, scoop. Inhale, release. You're just activating that left side of the core. And again, if you're tight on that right side in the back, you might get a little stretch out of this too. Let's do 2 more. Tiny little movements. 1 more. And then go ahead and unwrap, come back to center. If you don't want to lift the feet off the floor, you can stay. We're going to take the legs up to tabletop. Left leg crosses right, still pushing that left shoulder blade to the mat. Lift the left hip, twist just slightly. And exhale, scoop. Inhale, release. Exhale, scoop. Inhale, release. We're only doing 3 more. Feet can always be on the floor if you feel any discomfort at all. 1 more. I'm just really feeling it on this side. And then bring the feet down and let's uncross. Find that neutral. Take those hands behind the head, nice wide elbows. So we're gonna focus on lower ribs and pelvis, staying anchored. And we inhale here. And on the exhale, just a gentle hover of the shoulder blades of the head. Inhale, lower. Exhale, little hover to lift. Inhale, lower. So we're keeping it super simple right now. Exhale, hover to lift. And that's going to allow us to really focus on that breath. So what you want to do here is really focus with that exhale on hugging everything in. Remember that muscle we talk about all the time that wraps us like a belt? That's our stabilizer muscle. When we're lifting heavy weights, remembering to breathe deep into that is what's going to keep our spine stable. 2 more. Even when we're not lifting heavy weights, when we're doing a lot of hinging or bar work. And then we're just going to add a little twist to this. So inhale, center. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, center. Exhale, rotate the other way. It's okay to come down in between sides because we're fully supported at the neck. So really focus on activating the same area that you did with those little wrapped pelvic tilts. Opposing hip presses into the floor. It's a small lift. Inhale down. Big exhale to come up. So rotation and breath, only 2 things that really trigger that deep abdominal muscle. So by adding the deep exhale and the twist, even though it's a simple movement, has a great impact. We're going to go 1 more time each way. And release. So bring yourself down with your hands. Find that beautiful neutral spine. Take your legs up to tabletop. We're going to flex the feet. You're going to bring your legs together and actively squeeze them into each other. So you feel those inner leg muscles engaging. And you're going to push your legs out on an angle. and then pull them back just to vertical thigh tabletop. It could be up so that you're not straining your back. Could be out if you want that little bit of low core challenge. It is entirely up to you. But here's the focus of this exercise. When you press out, keep squeezing your legs together and try to move them as a single unit. And then when you come in, pull in through that low core. Inhale as you reach it out. Exhale as you pull it in. So remember, squeeze single unit and then low abdominals. 2 more. Inhale, reach. Exhale, pull. 1 more time. Hug those knees into the chest. Little rock. We're going to do that 1 more time, and I just want to tell you why I was saying use the legs as a single unit. We all have a dominant leg that wants to do more work, and this exercise is a balancing exercise. So bring your feet back to the floor, find that neutral again. Lift those legs back up, flex the feet, squeeze the legs together. So as you inhale, you're going to notice which leg wants to push more than the other, and I want you to try to even it out. If you own a TheraBand, one of those stretchy long bands, you can wrap it around the arches of your feet, and you'll see by the wobble in the TheraBand which leg is dominant, and you can work this exercise on your own to try to even out and create some balance leg to leg. We're just going to do 2 more. Inhaling as we push out and exhaling as we pull in. 1 more time. And then hug those knees up into the chest. Nice little rock, side to side. So when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and flip it over, coming all the way down on the floor. Hands are going to be underneath the forehead. We all know these exercises, but we're really going to focus on being meticulous today. So your legs are about hip distance apart, tops of the thighs and the knees are pointing down. We're going to take that tailbone and we're going to reach it toward the back wall. So remember, you should feel a little lift in your low abdominals when that tailbone reaches back. So let it drop, let it tip up toward the ceiling, let your belly drop. And then don't try to pull your belly in, but just lengthen and feel that gentle lift. Do that 1 more time. Drop. And then lengthen. So remember, not so much that we're gripping our glutes and pushing the pubic bone down, but just enough to feel that gentle lift. Hands under the forehead, mini swan hover. So inhale, head, hands, and chest. Exhale, control it down. Inhale, gentle little hover. Exhale, control it down. Keep that going. As you come up, imagine that there's a hand right between your shoulder blades, and you're going to lift up into that hand. Just a tiny little lift. When you come down, I know it's a lot to visualize. Visualize that muscle that wraps us like a belt and pull it in like you're cinching that belt snug. Think about that corset. Or think about, the Donna Reed dresses, how they had the tiny little waist and then the flare of the skirt. Imagine pulling that waist in using a belt like those. We're going to do about 3 more. Inhale, small lift. Exhale, draw it in. Now stay in that neutral, keep reaching, bring those arms out overhead. We're going for that slow swim. So same little hover, but you're going to take one arm, opposite leg, reach them out as you come up, and then wrap that belt tight as you come down. Inhale, lengthen to come up. Exhale to come down. Keep that slow flow going. Reach as you hover. Control it down. So we're really going to emphasize the length in the spine, because in a lot of our exercises, bar, strength training, even Pilates, when we're not focused on it, we tend to compress the spine. So the more you can think about lengthening, especially when you're lifting heavier weights or doing repetitive fatiguing movement, the better that's going to be on your spine, especially when it comes to your low back and your pelvis. Let's go one more time on each side. Nice big inhale. Nice big exhale. Last time. Keep that neutral. Reach those arms down to your sides. Take your legs, really give them energy. So try to reach your toes to the wall behind you. Reach your tailbone to the wall behind you. Reach your hands to the wall behind you. The only thing that's reaching forward is the top of your head. Go ahead and lift all 4 limbs along with the chest. And we're just going to focus on breathing. So it's not a high lift. We're not trying to arch the back significantly, just into the shoulder blade region. It's more about the length. Reach and breathe. Inhale. And then on that exhale, wrap that belt, pull into the low belly. Inhale and exhale. So if you tend to feel this one in your low back, not as high with the lift, focus on the reach and the breath. Let's take 2 more. Deep inhale, deep exhale. 1 more. And release. Hands come under the shoulders. We're going to press it back. Find that child's pose. So here's the other area that tends to be really weak on most people and tends to cause low back and hip tension or even pain. And that is your inner and your outer hips. So we're going to work those a little bit. We work the outer hips more, so we're going to focus a little bit more on the inner. Come down onto one side. We know all these exercises. We do them a lot. Line that spine up, one straight long line. Lift those ribs to activate that core. And then take those legs, if you have a mat, bottom front corner of your mat. If you don't, just slightly out in front of you. Really focus on this core engagement. So before we even move, we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Nice big inhale. And on that exhale, belt wraps, low core engages. Inhale. And exhale. 1 more, just the breath alone. I don't know if you're guilty of this. I am. I tend to forget to breathe in the sideline a lot. So we're setting that habit. Let's add the leg lift. So we inhale up. Big exhale down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. So keep that going. Knee is pointing straight ahead. We're lifting into the outer hip. And what I really want you to focus on, even more than we normally do, is that descent. So we exhale on the way down, as you know, to kind of slow the leg down and to try to find some engagement in the inner leg. Today, I really want you to focus on getting that exhale into that low core, pulling in. So that's going to help activate that lower core and the pelvic floor muscles, which sit right at the base of your pelvis and are definitely part of that core. I'm going to do 4 more of these. Inhaling up, exhaling down. You'll notice nothing we're doing today is going to burn like crazy, but these are really good foundational exercises. 1 more. And then go ahead and bend both knees. I want to get that stretching in. So still lifted through the center, we have our clamshell. So we open and close. Inhale and exhale. Remembering you're keeping your hips pointing straight ahead. Working into that outer hip as you squeeze, but also really focusing on that idea of closing with control, pulling into that low core. So that nice big exhale as you close. We're just going to do 4 more. Again, we're not going for burn right now. Two more. and release. We did this on Monday in Pilates. We're going to take that top leg across, whether it's knee down or foot down. You're going to extend that bottom leg right in line with the rest of your body, still lifted through your center. Give that bottom foot a nice little flex. And exhale, we lift. Inhale, we lower. In this case, we're exhaling on the way up so that we're pulling in as we lift, activating that inner leg. Remember, inner leg muscles lift up into your pelvic floor and your core. So they're all connected together. Using that exhale to squeeze from the inner thigh into that core. Let's do 2 more of these. Just 1 more. And then you're going to hold that leg lift at the top, and it's just tiny little pulses, squeezing from the inner thigh, even though that heel is going up and down, only going up and down because of that inner thigh. Little exhale deep into your center. And let's go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Let's go ahead and flip the whole thing over. Again, nothing super intense today. Stretch it out nice and long. Find that connection all the way down your spine. Lift through your center. Extend those legs slightly out in front of you. And let's just start with 3 deep breaths on this side. Big inhale. And on the exhale, wrap it in, carry it down. Inhale. And exhale 1 more time. And then add the leg. Inhale up. Exhale down. So every movement we do on our side is intentionally focusing on getting that breath into that low core, slowing down that descent. Oh, cats, hey. I think I've told you before, but the little one, James, loves to jump right on top of Isla. He flies through the air and lands on her. She does not like it. We're trying to stop that habit. We're going to do about 2 more of these. All about that breath. 1 more. And then bend those knees. So feet are in line with the hips, still lifted. And inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. So today you're getting a real taste of that mind-body connection that really we want to carry into every type of exercise we do. We tend to think of it as primarily linked to yoga, kind of linked to Pilates and bar, and then not really linked to strength training at all. But the more you can carry it into everything that you do, the more it's going to protect you. And it's always about the breath and that core engagement. Slowing that close down. We're going to do about 4 more. Two more. You'll also notice that it involves kind of slow, mindful movement. Let's go ahead and take that top leg in front, whether it's knee down or foot down. Extend the bottom leg, flex. Still lifted through your center. Let's exhale up and inhale down. So there's nothing wrong with, for example, I am completely addicted to Beachbody exercise for myself. And sometimes my favorite trainer moves way too fast for me and I cannot keep up with her and keep good form. So if you do other exercise besides this, or if we go fast, like we do sometimes in bar classes, feel free to slow it down. It's better to have you get more out of good form than you will out of speed, usually. So 4 more of these lifts. I will often pause my favorite trainer and wait until I catch up to her in terms of reps. Let's hold it at the top and little pulses, little squeeze right from that inner thigh, breathe that little exhale up, or you could inhale 2, exhale 2. Let's go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. We're going to roll it onto our backs. We're going to start that stretch portion of things. So we're going back to that little rock, side to side. Arms are wide, letting the hips rock. So remember that tension in your back is often caused by tension in your hips and your hamstrings. So that's where we're going to put a lot of, and our quads too. So we're going to put a lot of focus into those areas as we stretch today. We'll do another day stretching for the upper body. So go ahead and pick a side. Just release your hips over to that side. Turn your head in the opposite direction. And take the shoulder blade that corresponds with the direction of your head and really push it down. So you're getting that good twist through your center. So as we go into this stretching portion, the biggest focus breathing wise is not how you're breathing in terms of pattern, could be yoga, could be Pilates, but it's taking really deep exhales that travel through your body and allow the tension to dissipate. So let's take whatever that bottom leg is and let's extend it out so that we can bring the top leg across even more. It doesn't have to be fully straight, just a little more extended than it was to start. So we're really bringing that top hip across, top leg across. Still pressing this opposing shoulder blade down toward the floor. And these are options, as we build. Pick the ones you like, just like anything. Discard what you don't. Stay where you feel good. We're going to take that top leg and we're going to extend it out, flexing the foot. You'll notice the stretch will really carry down that outer edge of the leg. And then we're going to do an inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, push through the heel. So just like everything, doesn't matter if your leg goes straight, but it's that pushing through the heel, elongating the muscles that we're going for. Inhale as you bend. Exhale, press and elongate. Inhale and exhale. So if you feel tension on the top end of one hip, kind of where the low back and the hip come together, very often it has to do with tension along the back outer edge of your leg, not always. So this is a great stretch for that. We're going to do one more. And then go ahead and bend that top knee and roll it onto your back. We'll do that on the other side. So make sure you align first. Legs go one way, head goes the other. We're just going to breathe here in this relaxed position. And that's another piece of advice that I'll give in terms of caring for your body. Even though you know you can do accelerated stretches, start with gentler versions so that your body has a chance to release into it. So don't always go for the most intense variation of a stretch. So only if you want to, take that bottom leg, extend it out, maybe not all the way, shift your hips and bring that top leg across even more. We're still pressing that opposing shoulder blade down toward the floor. It's so hard to do all the good stuff in an hour. Need like 2 hours. So only if you want to, take that top leg, extend it out. And then remember, we're going to do that inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, press through the heel, extending. Inhale, bend. Exhale, press and extend. And right now you get a better view of me. I can show you kind of that tension in your low back, upper pelvis would be kind of right in here on one side. And that's where these stretches tend to be beneficial, not just for that, but if you're feeling that tension. Really exhaling as we push to elongate. Let's do that 3 more times. And then when you're ready, bend that top knee, roll it onto your back. And then this next one, we do it every single class. We almost never neglect it, but we're gonna take it a little deeper today. It's your figure four. So you're gonna cross your right ankle over your left thigh, opening up that right leg first. And I actually want you to take your right hand to the inside of your thigh and gently press it open a little more than it will naturally go. So you should be feeling that stretch kind of outer hip. This is another area that very much feeds into the low back in terms of pain and tension. So you can either stay here and focus on big exhales, or you can bring that leg in. Remember, you can always take a strap or a towel around the back of that left thigh. So as we bring it in, first we're just kind of bringing it in, walking it in, maybe rocking it in a little bit, which is what my back needs today. Make sure that chin's not jutting toward the ceiling, but the neck is nice and long. And this may be enough for you, but if you could go a little deeper in the stretch, keeping the legs tucked in, I want you to think of pressing your tailbone down toward the floor. So if you were to look at me, you'd see almost nothing, but just energetically, I've lengthened my back a little bit. Breathing. And then if you're feeling really flexible and you feel like you could go a little farther, again, you're gonna take that right hand inside the right thigh and you're just gonna gently ease that leg open. You may not need that at all. When we get to the other side, I won't do it. So we're just kind of leveling up the stretch that we do all the time. And then let's come down and let's switch sides. So left ankle crosses right thigh. We're gonna take that left hand inside the left leg and gently ease it open. Breathing the whole time. So you might choose to stay here. If you feel like it, you're gonna come in. Hands are gonna wrap behind that right thigh, or you could use something else. So we're gonna come in, really bringing the legs toward the chest, maybe a little rock. Maybe this is good. Stay right here. Maybe start to ease that tailbone down toward the floor. And when you do, you don't want your legs to drop. So it's important to keep the legs where they are and then just give it that subtle shift. Always relaxing your neck. It's really easy to pull tension into the neck for this one. And then if you want to, keeping everything exactly where it is, that left hand comes inside the left thigh and just very gently eases it open. And you know, I should have said this much earlier, never in stretching do we want actual physical pain, no sharp pain ever. So back away if that ever happens. But discomfort is okay. Feeling like you're pushing that threshold just slightly is all right. And then go ahead and come on out of it. So this next one is like the simplest thing in the world, but if you're feeling tension, low back, upper pelvis, bring your knees up in towards your chest, clasping behind your knees and thighs, so not on top of your shins. So you could use a towel, a strap, and it's okay if your spine rounds in this one, but then you're just gonna rock gently side to side. We kind of do it, but not really do it in between exercises. We never get to stay here and kind of languish in this position. So your pelvis may be coming up off the floor as you rock, and that's okay. The knees are coming into the chest, and we're just rocking gently side to side. You might feel this stretch go all the way up to kind of the base of your rib cage, depending on where you have tension. go ahead and gently bring your feet down. We're going to roll all the way over. So if you know that it is difficult for you to grab your feet when you're laying on your belly, you might grab, towel strap. I'm just going to grab a loop because it's what I have close to me. But the loops, like we experienced yesterday, can be really cool for stretching. So you're going to come all the way down. Your pelvis is square to the floor, obviously. You're going to turn your thighs and your knees straight down. And I want you to think about actually pressing your pelvis down into the floor. So this is not just tailbone reaching back like when we do muscular exercises, but a little bit more of a pressing down so that the fronts of your hips open. I'm just going to hold here and breathe. And then we're just going to take that left heel and we're going to curl it in. When you do so, you don't want your hips to pop up off the floor. You don't want to lose that length in the front of the hip. So you want to keep pressing, especially that left hip, down toward the floor. I'm going to clear something off my screen real fast. So you're going to take either your hand or if you have some sort of tool, you're going to take it around the top of your foot. You're going to use either the hand or the tool to draw that heel straight down. So it's aiming for the outer edge of your hip. You don't want your knee to wing out or do anything funny. You're pulling that heel straight down. And again, don't want your hips to pop up off the floor. That'll take you into your back, but keep pressing the front of that left hip down toward the floor. So this is really important for releasing tension in the back, believe it or not. If the front of your hip and your hip flexors get tight, it will feed into your low back for sure, and into your pelvis. So when you're ready, go ahead and release. We're going to do that on the other side. So just make sure first that you're pressing those hips down. And then curl that right heel in. Nothing else right now, but keep pressing that right hip down toward the floor. And only if you feel like it, you can loop whatever tool you're using across the top of your foot or place your hand there. And you want to draw straight down. Again, you don't want that knee to wing out to the side. And you're going to push that right hip down into the floor. Breathe. Always, always deep, deep exhales. We did start just a hair, we're at 10:57 right now. We did start just a hair late. I might roll 2 to 3 minutes over. Just giving you a heads up on that. If you need to pop off, I totally understand. And release. Hands underneath the shoulders. Let's press back to child's pose, taking the knees wide. Then walk those arms out. And see if you can breathe into your low back. So with every exhale, you can even have hands stacked underneath your forehead if you're tight in this one, or have a block underneath. What you want to do is try to soften your low back into this child's pose. We're just going to take a couple more deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, Bring your hands in, come up just a little bit. We're gonna bring the legs together, curl the toes under, and come up into forward fold. You might feel really tight in the beginning, so knees are nice and soft. Let your upper body hang. Grab opposite elbows if you want to. And just breathe. That's it to start, just breathing. Forward fold is probably one of the best stretches for releasing tension, as long as you keep your knees soft. If you try to force your legs straight, then it becomes a negative. But as long as those knees are soft and we've got gravity pulling the weight of the head down and taking deep inhales and exhales, this stretch is, if you've got one to do, this is the one. And you can even sway it gently side to side, give it a little rock, especially if you tend to be tight in the outer parts of your low back. And then we're just going to get into those hamstrings a little more. So we do this all the time again, very familiar. Inhale, you want to think of lowering your hips toward the floor just a little bit. And then on the exhale, it's that lifting of your hips toward the ceiling, honoring how tight you are in your back and in your legs. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. So you're pushing that threshold just a little bit, but you're not trying to overstretch. So it's just getting to that point where your muscles are saying, oh wow, I feel this, and not trying to push past that. We're just going to do this about 4 more times. Two more, nice and gentle, just easing yourself into that slight bit of discomfort for the back of the leg. And then soften the knees. And we're gonna really activate that core to come up. So when you're ready, take a big inhale, take an exhale, and then just keep breathing as you pull into your front core and roll yourself up the top. Might just kind of shimmy shake a little bit. We're gonna bring those feet right underneath the hips. Last thing we're gonna do, plant both feet, anchor them into the floor. Take that left arm, reach it over the head, and a little side bend to the right. You could do this seated as well. So you're pushing that left foot down into the floor. I'm just turning sideways so you can see where we're going. So instead of coming up, you're gonna bend your knees, come forward, hands mid-thigh. Inhale, little arc. Exhale, really scoop and hollow. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, little arc. Exhale, use that breath, roll it all the way up. And we're just gonna take right arm overhead, side bend to the left. Press that right foot down into the floor so you're getting that length on that side. And again, if you were to do this seated, you'd get a little bit more for the back. Out of this, we're going to come forward. Inhale, arc. Exhale, scoop and hollow. Let's do that one more time. Roll it all the way up. So this time a little different, last stretch. Left arm up, take that side bend. And then what you're gonna do is rotate and reach down like you're reaching for the outside of that right foot. Let yourself hang, knees can be soft. So you're in that forward fold, but with a little bit of a rotation. Just breathe. Come to center, soften the knees, use your core, roll it up. Let's take that right arm over the head, side bend to the left. Press that foot down into the floor on that right side. So you're gonna rotate your upper body, reach and hold down, reach for that little toe. Soften the knees and just let yourself hang. You should, if you're tight, you should feel this stretch kind of in the opposite side. Low back, hip. Go ahead and come to center. Soften your knees. Use your core one more time. Roll it up. Just to counter all that forward rounding, let's reach back, open up that chest. Zip up your center, soften your knees, breathe. And while we're here, while you're opening up, let me just talk one more time about zipping that low center. So every time we're squatting, we're plieing, we're doing these leg exercises, maybe we're doing a lot of hinge work, a lot of seesaw, the more you can use your breath to zip, the more you protect your back and your pelvis. Let's take one more breath here. And then when you're ready, give me a nice big inhale up. Nice big exhale down. We'll do that one more time. And we are done. Relax. So just come and check in.